Tips to improve your English pronunciation. Pause the video to repeat phrases or words. Record your voice and compare it with the video. Actively listen, identifying familiar words or phrases. I arrived for my exchange from Spain with a big suitcase, a backpack, and a mix of excitement and fear. Everything felt new, from the streets and buses to the way people spoke so quickly around me. I had studied English before, so I could understand many words, and that helped me feel less lost. But understanding was only half of the challenge, because speaking was much harder than I expected. At the airport and later with my host family, I smiled a lot while my brain worked overtime. In the first days, I translated almost everything in my head before I answered anyone. A simple question like, "How was your day?" became a long mental process for me. First I thought in Spanish, then I tried to build the sentence in English, and only then I spoke. This made me slow, and during that time people were waiting, which made me more nervous. Sometimes I gave very short answers because I was afraid of making mistakes in longer ones. At school, the problem became more obvious because conversations moved fast and changed quickly. My classmates were friendly, but they joked, asked questions, and shared stories without stopping. I understood the main topic, but while I translated one sentence, I missed the next two. When they asked me about Spain, I wanted to tell them many things, but I froze. I said only, "It is beautiful," and smiled, even though I had much more to say. Even with these hard moments, I did not want to stay quiet or hide from the experience. I came from Spain to live this exchange fully, not only to listen and nod every day. So I made a simple plan: speak a little more each day, even if my English was not perfect. At dinner, I asked my host family one question, and on the bus I read signs in English. The practice felt uncomfortable, but I knew discomfort was part of learning something real. By the end of the first week, I still translated too much, but I started to trust simple phrases. I was not fluent, and I still paused a lot, yet I felt less scared than on day one. My goal changed from speak perfectly to communicate clearly, and that helped me relax. I wanted to enjoy the exchange, make friends, and stop living only inside my head. I did not know it yet, but soon I would face a situation where thinking too much could slow me down. During a weekend city tour with my exchange group, everything felt fun and easy at first. We were walking through a crowded street market, taking photos, laughing, and trying local food. Our teacher told us to stay close, because the streets were busy and full of people. I was enjoying the moment, listening to English around me, and trying to speak more with my classmates. Then, in just a few seconds, the mood changed completely. One of the students, a younger boy from another group, disappeared while we were crossing a busy area. At first we thought he was just behind us, but when we stopped, he was not there. Our teacher looked around quickly and called his name, but there was no answer. People in the group started talking fast in English, asking questions and pointing in different directions. The air felt heavy with panic, and I could feel my own heart beating hard in my chest. I wanted to help, so I moved closer and tried to listen carefully to the instructions. Someone said, "Check the corner," and another said, "Call him now," but everything came too fast. I started translating each sentence in my head, word by word, and that made me slow. By the time I understood one instruction, people were already moving and saying new things. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out because my mind was still translating. That was the light climax, and I felt it strongly because I knew every second mattered. I pointed toward a street and tried to say, "Maybe he go there," but my sentence broke apart. A classmate looked at me, waiting for more, and I felt frozen and frustrated again. In that moment, I understood something serious. Thinking too slowly could make the situation worse. This was not a classroom exercise, and I could not hide behind short answers now. I took a deep breath and forced myself to stop translating every single word in my head. Instead, I focused on the main ideas I heard: boy, blue jacket, corner, call. I still felt nervous, but now I knew I needed fast, simple English, not perfect English. I told myself, speak short, move fast, help now, like a rule inside my chest. And when the group started running in different directions, I ran too, ready to try again. We started running through the market in small groups, each one searching a different street. I ran with 2 classmates and a local volunteer, and everything moved very fast around us. People were walking, talking, carrying bags, and the noise made it hard to hear clearly. The volunteer pointed ahead and spoke quickly, but this time I listened for key words only. I stopped trying to understand every sentence and focused on action words and directions. At first, I still made mistakes because my old habit of translating returned under pressure. When my classmate shouted, "Go left," I lost 1 second translating and almost ran straight. Then I corrected myself and turned, but I felt frustrated for being slow again. A few steps later, I saw a boy in a blue jacket and yelled, "Stop there, too late." It was the wrong boy, and he looked at me confused before walking away. Even with those mistakes, I did not stop, because the situation needed quick help. The volunteer asked, "Did you see him?" And I answered, "No, not him, keep going," in short English. That answer came out faster than I expected, and I felt a small spark of confidence. At the next corner, I pointed and shouted, "This way," because I saw a side street full of people. My classmates followed me, and for the first time I felt useful, not frozen. We kept running, and I began using short phrases without building them in Spanish first. "Call him," I shouted when one classmate had the missing student's contact on his phone. "Check there," I said, pointing at a snack stand where kids were standing in line. The words were simple, but they came quickly, and they matched the moment we were in. I noticed my body moved better too, because my mind was not trapped in translation. Then the volunteer looked at me and said, "Good, keep talking, that helps," and I believed him. I realized something big while running. When I stopped translating, I could follow the action. My English was not perfect, but it was alive, fast, and useful, and that mattered more. The fear was still there, but now it stayed behind me instead of blocking my path. We had not found the boy yet, but I knew I was finally helping the search in real English. The search became more intense when we reached a busy square with music, buses, and too many people. Our teacher called us on the phone and said another group saw the missing boy near a bus stop. We ran toward that area, but the street split in many directions, and we had to decide fast. The local volunteer looked at me and my classmate and asked, "Which side did he go?" For 1 second, the pressure hit me hard, and the old freeze tried to come back. I almost stopped to translate everything in my head, but I knew we had no time for that. Instead, I trusted what I saw and the words I already knew, and I spoke directly. I pointed to the right street and said, "He went that way, near the red sign." My classmate looked at me, waiting for the next step, and I kept going without overthinking. "Go right." "I check here." "Call the teacher!" I shouted, and the words came out strong. That moment changed everything, because someone else was now depending on my English to move. My classmate followed my instructions immediately, and the volunteer ran ahead to the bus stop. I stayed near the corner and asked a street vendor, "Small boy, blue jacket, did you see him?" The vendor answered fast, but I caught the most important part, "Yes, with woman, bus station." I repeated it out loud, "Bus station, with a woman," so the others could hear and react. We ran again, faster than before, and I kept speaking in short, clear lines while moving. "This way." I called as I saw the sign for the bus station entrance. "Check inside." I told the volunteer while I stayed near the outside gate with my classmate. My voice sounded natural now, not perfect, but fast and useful, and I did not feel stuck. I could feel the group working together better because the instructions were clear and immediate. A minute later, the volunteer shouted from inside, and we turned to him at once. He had found the missing boy with a station worker, scared but safe, near the ticket machines. Relief hit me so strongly that my knees felt weak, and I had to breathe deeply. On the way to them, I realized I had just handled the hardest part in real English. There was no time to translate, and because I trusted simple words, we got close to the solution. When we found the missing boy near the ticket machines, he looked scared and ready to cry. The station worker stayed with him, but our group was still spread out in different places. My teacher arrived out of breath and asked fast questions, trying to organize everyone at once. Without thinking in Spanish first, I stepped forward and started giving clear instructions in English. It happened so naturally that I noticed it only after the words were already out. I said, "He is here, he is safe," and pointed to the boy and the station worker. Then I turned to my classmate and said, "Call the other group now and tell them to stop searching." I looked at the volunteer and added, "Stay with him, please, until the teacher talks to him." When another student arrived confused, I told her, "Wait here, don't move, we are together now." My sentences were short, direct, and clear, and everyone followed them right away. The teacher checked the boy, thanked the station worker, and then looked at me with surprise. She said, "Good job, you helped a lot," and I felt my chest fill with pride and relief. The boy's face calmed down when he saw the group together again, and the panic finally faded. Around us, The station was still busy and noisy, but inside me, everything felt steady and strong. For the first time, English did not feel like a test. It felt like action and support. As we walked back together, some classmates thanked me for speaking so quickly during the search. One of them said, "You sounded so natural," and I almost laughed because that was new for me. A few days earlier, I was translating everything and freezing in simple conversations at school. Now, in a real emergency, I had spoken clearly without stopping to build each sentence in Spanish. That difference felt huge, and I could feel a new kind of confidence growing inside me. Later that night, I sat in my room and thought about the whole day from start to finish. I understood something important. Fluency does not begin with perfect grammar, it begins with action. It begins when I stop translating every word and start using what I know in real moments. I still have a lot to learn, but now I trust my English more, because it helped someone today. That was the moment I knew I was changing, and I wanted to keep going.